So what is the purpose in factoring trinomials? Well, if we can factor a trinomial, we can solve a polynomial or a trinomial real easily by finding the roots. So we have practiced the zero product property to solve when things are already factored for us. And we've now practiced factoring trinomial expressions. So now we're going to combine the two. So our directions are solve the following equation and check your answers. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. It is in standard form. We can go ahead and create our model if it helps us to factor. So we have x squared in the top left. We have our constant minus 15 in the bottom right. We know x times x will multiply to give us x squared. Factor pairs for 15 are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. Now I notice that my 15 is a negative, so that means one of my values has to be negative and the other one has to be positive. And my middle term is positive. So when I look at my factor pairs, I need to keep in mind I need to get a positive 2 while still getting the negative 15. So if I look at these, if I have 5 and I subtract 3, I will get that positive 2. So a plus 5 and a minus 3. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. 5 times x is a positive 5x. So just to check again, 5x minus 3x is 2x. Positive 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. All of this does give us x squared plus 2x minus 15. So it is factored correctly. So now I can rewrite this equation in factored form. So we have x plus 5 times x minus 3 equals 0. And then if we recall from the zero product property, I would set each of these factors, the x plus 5 equal to 0 and the x minus 3 equal to 0. And I would solve. So I would subtract 5 and x would be negative 5. I would add 3 and x would be positive 3. So now let's check our work. To check, we take these values of x and we substitute them back into the original equation. So we have negative 5 squared plus 2 times negative 5, subtract 15. So that would be a positive 25. And we would have a minus 10, subtract 15. 25 minus 10 is 15. Subtract 15 does equal 0. That works. And then we have positive 3 to check. So that's 3 squared plus 2 times 3. Subtract 15. And that is 9 plus 6. Subtract 15. 9 plus 6 is 15, subtract 15 is 0. That also works. So both of these are our answers. Both of these are solutions to the polynomial or the equation x squared plus 2x minus 15. Now we have x squared plus 13x plus 12. So let's factor first. And we have x squared, we have plus 12, x times x will give us x squared. Because everything is positive, I know the values that I find have to be positive. And my factor pairs for 12 are 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. And I want the pair that when I add them together will give me 13. Well, that will be 1 and 12. So 1 times x is 1x. 12 times x is 12x. 1x times 12x is 13x. And 1 times 12 is 12. So in factored form, my equation is now x plus 12 times x plus 1 equals 0. So we would take x plus 12, set it equal to 0. X plus 1 equals to 0. And we subtract 12, we subtract 12. So x equals negative 12. And we subtract 1, x equals negative 1. And we can check. So negative 12 squared would give us 144. And 13 times negative 12 would give us a negative 156. And if we add 12, well, 12 plus 144 would be a positive 156. And if we subtract the 156, we'd have 0. If we plug in negative 1 squared is 1. 13 times negative 1 is negative 13. And then plus 12, well, 1 plus 12 is 13. Subtract 13 would be 0. So they both work. So these are our solutions. We have done it correctly. And the next one. Again, I'm going to set up my model. We have x squared, and we have plus 40. X times x gives us x squared. Now we have a positive constant, but we have a negative middle term. So that tells me I'm looking for 2 negative numbers. And our factor pairs for 40, 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, and 5 times 8. Now to get a negative 14, that would be negative 4 and negative 10. So negative 4x, negative 10x does give me negative 14x, and negative 4 times negative 10 is a positive 40. So when we go to solve this, we have x minus 4 times x minus 10 equals 0. Set each factor equal to 0. And solve. We add the 4, x equals 4. We add the 10. Should be adding 10, not writing an x. So x equals 10. And we can check. So 4 squared is 16. Negative 14 times 4 is negative 56. So 16 minus 56 is going to be negative 40. Plus 40 is 0. 10 squared is 100. Negative 14 times 10 is negative 140. So 100 minus 140 is negative 40. Plus 40 is 0. So these are our solution. So as you can see, we can combine our solving our trinomials with our solving using the zero product property in order to solve a polynomial equation.